Hey, welcome back. Video 47. Not going to do too much in this video. We're just going to get this little icon here to appear and get this menu, the basics of it at least, um, set up. Nothing. If you're not hovering over it, you don't see anything. You hover, you get the menu. You get three choices. We're going to set it up. We're not going to wire up all the choices yet, but we're going to get it set up. So just like that, you hover, you get your menu. You click it, you get your choices. You can click off it and it goes away, and you click something and it goes away. I might want to move it over because when I click it, I lose the scroll bar on the side, and this stuff kind of shifts around. Um, Not a huge deal, but maybe something I can fix. Um, but I do want to go over a couple things before I go over that from the last video. We added the duration, which you can see overlaid here. Again, that's going to look like crap on different size screens. You may have to mess with the CSS, make your own rules, but I just wanted to show you that it can be done. This isn't perfection here. We're just doing the best we can with JavaScript by ourselves. But you do have to add duration right here. This is the video by ID query, and add duration to the video list query. Suppose it's not, I'm not sure why exactly we needed to add it to this, but since we're using it in the video list, you definitely want it here. That's for sure. I didn't go over that in the last video. I might not have gone over all the CSS, but I basically transform it around, mess around with it a little bit until it does what I want. Now, for this little vertical button, we're going to use menu and menu item for Material UI, and the More Vert icon, it's called, from Icons More Vert. And we'll use the icon button too. And I noticed since I started this, we're using a beta version of Material UI. So right now we're using the Material UI -next. So the 0 version is the stable version. We're using the beta version, which is on 33 now, and we started around 17. So there have been breaking changes. Sort of breaking changes, I guess you could say, between 17 and 33, because it's beta. They don't guarantee, it's still in the developmental phase. They're not guaranteeing stability in this version yet. So like some of the stuff is different now, like on request close for modals and menus and stuff is now just on close, but since I'm not updating the version at this point, I'm using the old standard, which was on request close. They're small things, but I couldn't figure out how to close this menu at first, and I finally figured out. So we have an icon button. We're putting it outside of the link. So inside of this, we're now calling it the outer container, and I added some styles for that. I just made it a grid with a 98 and 2 and a little right margin. Basically, this is the 98, and this icon is the 2. So I added that. And I actually added some CSS styles, but you'll see I put in this icon button. This is all new code right here. All this right here. And menu has an anchor element. And I used their setup this time. So the click handler is basically just going to take the current target and set it to the anchor element. And just keep anchor element as a piece of state. And as long as it's not set to null, the menu will be open, and then the request close just sets it back to null. So those are easy to look at. Right here, handle menu anchor takes an event, sets the state of the anchor element, which I've added up there. It's beginning as null. It sets it to the current target, and then when you close, or request closed, it just sets it back to null. So that's how you get that menu coming and going like that. Let me just take a look at some of these notes I wrote down. Cool, still 5 minutes. Check that. Okay. One thing I did add was classes, because I had to use a hover, and this was just the easiest way. I could have used on mouse enter, on mouse leave, stuff like that. But to get this effect where you don't see that menu until you hover over each one. That's just how YouTube is. So I wanted to replicate that. So I've got two classes here. We've got the more vert icon, which we just say opacity 0. And then we have the video list item, which I put on the same thing as the outer container, this div. That's children are the link, icon, button, the menu are all children of that. So import the CSS with just a regular old, I made a styles folder and just named the CSS the same as the component, easy to keep track of. Then just import styles video list.css, and then you use this greater than selector. It's the child selector. So basically it just says when you hover the video element, then the opacity of the more vert icon goes to 1. So that way you're hovering something else and its child becomes visible. So that's how you can hover over here and get that. It's pretty cool. Works good. I wanted to explain that. And the refresh queries, I don't know if I've gone over that enough. But basically, whenever you do a mutation or anything like that, say like we just did that set duration mutation. Once that mutation, when it goes through, you can just refetch queries. So it just calls to the back end. So if you change something and you want to have it updated, shown in your UI, you just refetch the query. So maybe we should add that to some other stuff that we did. If you're noticing something that you're interacting with on the page, like you click something, see like those, I was clicking those and nothing happened. So we might have some problems with that. Got errors all over the place. Oh, and the server's not up. That's one thing. But anyway, if you see something not responding in the UI, you know you have it right. That's how you refetch the query, and that just shoots the same question to the back end again and gets that updated information because you just changed it. I'm doing the refresh. It's just a lot easier than sometimes using a subscription would be. You want to use a subscription if you want another computer. If you see it's necessary for someone else running the same website, you want them to see that update in real time. Refresh is only going to refresh it for the one person that's using it, where a subscription, you can send it out to all the other versions of the app. So it depends. A lot of these are just, it's not important that someone viewing my video, to me it's not important that someone viewing my video somewhere else sees that right away. You know what I mean? Maybe for some of the comments and stuff like that, like that's something we might want to work into later with the Firebase or with the subscriptions, but we haven't even implemented subscriptions yet. So we're just doing things as they come. So basically, I think that's it. Hope I cleared up some stuff. It's hard to get everything into a 10-minute video. We did some CSS tricks. We also had this formatted. I added this before. It wasn't returning anything if it was over 10 minutes long. So if you just return formatted at the end of this format time, you'll get the hour things greater than 59.59. So Later.